called the conference Investigating Our Practices specifically because we wanted people who were actually investigating their own teaching practice to actually be engaged in the conference. And mainly the argument is that if you make public your work, make explicit what you're doing, that's a very important part of investigating your practice. Instead of it staying private, it actually becomes part of the public conference. So that's what we did. And really in the early days it was to involve teachers who were engaged in, say, master's theses, etc., where they could come along and they actually present their work. And since then we've actually had the graduate students come on board, we've had faculty come on board, we've had visitors from out of province come, we've even had some international visitors. So over the last 12 years people got used to this conference, Investigating Our Practices, occurring the first week in May every year. And so even our colleagues from UVic and Simon Fraser will come down. And so it's a very nice entry point for people who don't normally go to conferences or don't normally present at conferences to actually present their work. But basically it is investigating your practice on a cyclic process. So you have a question, you have a hypothesis about what you might do, what you might want to change, you try that out, then you get a result and you reflect on that, and then you come to some conclusions, and then that would feed back into the next cycle of action. So action research is a cyclic process. But an important part of action research is that people then make public their own feelings, ideas, understandings of their practice, and they engage in a conversation with others. And IOP, or Investigating Our Practices, is that opportunity to make public the sort of things they've learned, the ideas that they've come across. A group that's been going in Vancouver for quite a while now, the Urban Learner Cohort. It's a master's cohort in the Faculty of Education here, and the classes are all held off campus in the Vancouver School District itself. But that group regularly comes back, members of that group come back and share with us the work that they've been doing investigating their classroom practice. So for example, it might be somebody who's thinking, how might I better engage people in early literacy? And so they're curious about their own practice, they look at resources that are at the Vancouver School Board, they find some particular strategies, and then they say, well, I wonder how that would go in my class with this diversity in this particular class in an East Vancouver school. And then they'll work on that for 6 months, keeping a diary, keeping a journal, keeping a record of what they've done. And as they practice, discover things, learn better ways to do things, learn a different response from the students, they then begin to write that up, and it's in the writing up phase and then the sharing phase that they do at IOP that enables them to engage in a professional conversation about their practice that wouldn't ordinarily be available to them in many ways. I mean, there's two parts of the research informing practice. I mean, for a long time, people have separated theory from practice, and so it was the ivory tower at the university that had the knowledge, and then we would pass that on to teachers in schools, and they would faithfully implement that knowledge. But action research actually makes the claim that theory is embedded in practice, and in fact, you can't separate them. So that the side of research is actually the classroom side in many instances. So it's very exciting for the group of us at UBC to actually now involve and engage teachers on a regular basis in research practices. So in some senses they actually develop the methodologies that they're going to use, they test them out, they try them out, they engage with us about conversations about what theoreticians might inform that practice. So it's very much a dialogue between theory and practice, and action research is sort of the ideal way to engage in that. And I think it's strongly relevant to the work of our teachers in schools. So I find in British Columbia they're probably one of the most professionally developed teaching forces that I've had experience of working with.